probably assuming that's the case. We'll change that.
All right.
I've never seen Rudy play this deck before.
Neither have I.
So in Island to start, you see he's actually got counterbalance in his hand. So I take it all back. Chris, well, he always plays land, so that's not much of a surprise. He's off to a good start here with Mox Diamond. Going to discard a Verdant Catacombs, Rashad and Port. Going to tap the island on the upkeep, pass the turn back. We're underway here. You see the numbers next to each player's name. Number 7 here for Rudy Briksza. Number 12 here for Chris Anderson. And this is notable. This is notable here because for Chris, he's on the outside looking in. Rudy, he's locked into the Players' Championship at this point.
Yep, and I know that Rudy was able to top 8 the IQ at the only game in town yesterday. Anderson did not make the top 8.
Here's a gamble from Chris. We'll see what Chris does gamble for here in just a second. I imagine loam, but you know, other things can happen because it's not as straightforward as it used to be in this particular build of lands where crop rotation is an option. Dark Depths, Thespian Stage, those are all options here. What's going to bite the dust? Taiga does. That's a Thespian Stage. Pass the turn back. Will there be a port activation here from Anderson? Counterbalance is the play here from Rudy. Do you have sideboards typed in, yes or no? Okay. A basic plains is what Rudy will search for with that flooded strand. Now, Anderson has played against this matchup quite a bit. There was an IQ a couple weeks ago when we were in Dallas where he and Joe Lissette did make the top 8, and Chris got paired against Miracles in the quarterfinals and ended up having his avatar token hit by Swords of Plowshares 3 times. He was at 80, but then got locked by Jace.
Yes. And this is the type of matchup where ideally Anderson would win the game via loam and just grinding Briksza down because Merit Lage is not the safest path to go.
Now, Merit Lage, one thing that it is, it's a legend, which means Caracas can bounce it.
Yeah.
So that's an answer to the creature. So Chris is going to have to try something else right now. He's going to start by cycling a Tranquil Thicket, and Grove of the Burn Willows is the draw. What's next? Looks like it's just going to be tap something with Port. Here's Vendilion Click. Rudy's going to target himself with the 3-1. Terminus to the bottom. New card coming. Terminus not great in this matchup.
And Rudy now on the hunt for Divine Top because if he can pair Divine Top with a 2-cost card on the top of his deck, that locks out Loam, and then things become very problematic for Chris.
It's an attempt at exploration. It's going to resolve right away. Maybe a little surprised not to see Rudy reveal a counterbalance there.
Yeah, no reason not to.
Yeah. He does not know what's on top of his deck, so I'm a little bit surprised there. Maybe he just doesn't care about exploration resolving. He's going to bounce the Vendilion Click, or at least try to. Punishing Fire could show up here, but it does not. On the upkeep.
I mean, Anderson needs to finagle this in such a way where if his plan is to go for Merit Lage, he needs to tap down Caracas and make sure the board's empty in one turn. It's not an easy thing to do, but that's what the game plan is.
Swords of Plowshares the draw here for Rudy. So if he would have revealed to counterbalance, he would have actually countered exploration. Grove of the Burn Willows the draw here for Chris. He'll play a Verdant Catacombs and a Thespian Stage. So he's got all these stages out here. This is going to be a weird game to see him try to finagle all of this, as you said.
Well, he can use the Thespian Stages here also to copy Rashad and Port and try to jam up some mana for a while. Without Loam, it's not really getting him very far, but he can at least make it so Rudy has to hold up a lot of mana out of the threat for Merit Lage.
Another thing he can do if he just wants to get creative, he can copy Caracas, bounce Vendilion Click. I don't know how much that's going to come. I mean, Thespian Stage can do a lot here.
Yes.
There's a lot of options. Another card that he can find in this situation as he's taking draw steps and not dredging is, of course, Punishing Fire. You know, that's another thing. So I think we're going to be settling in for what looks to be a little bit of a longer game. Rudy going to draw a card, Force of Will. Here comes Vendilion Click. Anderson's going to fall down to 17. So now here comes the interesting part. What are we going to do with these stages? Looks like he's going to start by activating Port. Going to tap Caracas. Now, he's just going to go for broke.
Okay.
And this is reasonable.
Yep. I mean, it's Swords of Plowshares or bust, really.
Yeah. Depending on the build that Rudy could be playing, you know, we're looking at maybe Venser or something like that, but it does force him to have swords right now. And if he does have swords, you go up to a pretty comfortable 36 and get to continue to kind of mess around.
The problem is that with Rudy having Caracas plus Vendilion Click and Play, he's going to have a lot of ability to improve his own draw and break up Loam in the event that Anderson should find it.
Yep.
And if Briksza can find Sensei's Divining Top to pair with Counterbalance, then Anderson's drawing pretty thin.
Yep, immediately swords that. Don't even think about it. Gain 20 up to 36. So what's next here for Chris? Okay, Loam's a pretty nice draw.
Loam's a huge draw. I mean,
Yep.
he can keep trying to brute force this,
Yep.
just doing it over and over again.
We can't forget, too, he's got Tranquil Thicket. Counterbalance is going to reveal Brainstorm. And Rudy's stuck on mana right now. He's only got 4, so he can't hardcast Force of Will. So now we'll see how Chris wants to go about doing things here, because Exploration's out there as well. And as you mentioned, he can just brute force this.
Yeah, and I think you're going to see a re-up of what we saw last turn, which is tap down your Caracas, jam, force another response.
Yep.
And now with Loam, he can really, Loam plus Exploration allows him to just do this over and over again. It's
Yep.
not just a one-shot deal now.
Depths plus stage back out there. Brainstorm's the draw. Brainstorm is where Rudy will start. Will Chris make a move?
No real reason to do it now. He wants to do everything at the end step.
Force of Will, J, Snapcaster Mage. Snapcaster is another swords.
Yep.
What's also interesting here as well, there's no shuffle here for Rudy. So you know that he's going to be working those cards over the next couple of turns. Jace is a little bit dangerous to tap out for, or at least tap low for, especially when there's a port out there. But there's also no guarantee right now that Chris has to just say, present 2020 again. He could, you know, maybe go back to that port route, cycle Tranquil Thicket. There's a couple options here now.
I think with Exploration plus Loam, his incentive is pretty high to just keep pushing on this line of play.
Sure.
He can keep assembling this turn after turn. So, you know, he gets to replay the Thespian stage and the Dark Depths, get them back every single turn and keep going. So I think the way that he set this all up, he's just going to be trying to brute force this.
Looks like Snapcaster Mage on top, Jace underneath it, Force of Will's in hand.
So I think Rudy's plan here is to chump block the Venser.
Okay.
He's then going to presumably reveal Snapcaster Mage to counter the Loam.
Okay.
And then he has Snapcaster plus Plow.
To buy him some time.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Dredge Loam, Verdant, Tabernacle, another Loam.
I mean, the risk with this play is if Anderson were to dredge over Punishing Fire, it's a disaster.
Still got a 2 on top.
So, yes. Okay.
so
he's
he's
still got the
okay,
2.
yeah.
Yep. All right, so he's got that covered.
Here's Loam. Make him announce his targets first. And Rudy can already tell, yeah, he's just going to turn over his 2. It's Snapcaster Mage. Yep, serve. That's dead. No 2s can resolve here for Chris. So now the question is, how does he want to use Tranquil Thicket, I think?
Well, now, actually, Rudy's got a very good setup because he can simply Caracas the token.
Yeah, I have some interest in maybe trying to cycle to find Wasteland.
Yep.
I think that's the best thing that he can find, yeah, because Caracas is going to take care of the token, as you mentioned, and he's going to bounce it right away. Pass the turn back with Snapcaster in hand.
And now Chris is kind of behind several turns.
Yep.
And trying to reassemble the board he had.
So now Thespian Sage is going to copy something as he's tapping this mana. It looks like it's going to be a port. And now port, that was active, gets to tap something. He'll go with a Taiga. And now Chris will untap. So will it be Dredge or will it be Draw? It'll be Dredge. 3 cards. Mox Diamond's 1. Punishing Fire is 2. Didn't get a great look at the third one. Okay, it's just a beautiful, beautiful forest. And now it's a Loam. Try to reassemble. And now this is a matchup here where both sides feel like it's close.
Yeah.
If you talk to Miracles players, you talk to Lance players, they both feel like it's very, very close.
Yeah. Rudy is barely hanging on in some respects, but he's also not that far away from shutting the door.
Yep. Force of will. Removing, I believe, force of will. However, Chris has the cycler in his hand, so he can say, all right, I'll cycle Tranquil Thicket, I'll dredge Loam. Here's Punishing Fire 1, Maze of Ith is 2, Mana Bond is 3, get back my Loam, recast my Loam. Keep in mind he hasn't played a land yet this turn. And I think he's got enough mana that if this resolves, he can represent. Briksza with just Snapcaster Mage in hand. Snap into Brainstorm. Take a look at the top couple. Well, he found a counterbalance. He can use that, put that on top. Counter Loam. Has Jace in hand. So he'll draw in a second.
Well, this is now an excellent setup here for Briksza.
Yep.
As he can play Jace, Brainstorm, put counterbalance on top.
And just keep this going. Yeah. So here is Jace. And have Caracas ready.
Yeah. It's a very good setup here for Briksza.
Another Swords, a Terminus, and a Brainstorm. Now, those are great cards to find right now, too. There's some flexibility here.
Yeah.
All right, well, to Punishing Fire we go. But we also know that's not going to be good enough because of the 2 on top of the deck.
Yeah, it's just another 2 that's getting locked out here.
And if you're Chris, you have to imagine that, yeah, he definitely put a 2 back on top of his deck. I saw Counterbalance just a second ago. I don't know what Gamble does.
I mean, the ideal scenario here, if you're Anderson, is that you can get him in the draw step. That Rudy draws the 2 that he has on top. You can then use the Punishing Fire to take care of Jace.
Sure.
And then move on with your business. But Briksza has kept a Brainstorm here, so we can just get it re-engineered.
But the thing that Chris can do is Chris can keep doing it during the draw step.
Yeah, he can keep fighting it.
Yeah, he can keep, like, the Brainstorm is a temporary reprieve.
Yeah.
This matchup is intricate. He's going to try to gamble, maybe. Oh, he's just going to get back Punishing Fire. Okay. The nice thing here for Chris is he's got access to quite a bit of red mana. So that's good for him. Now he's going to cast Gamble. We'll see if this resolves. Though the thing here is I'm not entirely sure what Chris is looking to gamble for. I think he just took a Dark Depths really fast.
I mean, it might he might at this point just be going for broke. He might simply say, all right, I'm going to try to tap your Caracas.
Present again.
And just hope. Briksza has that covered with Swords to Plowshares. But if Anderson feels like the game's getting away from him, it's not a bad haymaker to try to throw.
Middle card, Punishing Fire down. You lose nothing. Depths. Yep, he's just going to continue to try. He's just going to continue to present.
Yep.
That looks to be the plan. Here's a Brainstorm. Terminus, Jace, Scalding Tarn. Looks like Terminus and Counterbalance going to go on top. Here comes Snapcaster Mage. Anderson down to 32. Port your Caracas. Try to present again. It's weird. I think this is how you're supposed to play the matchup from the land side.
Yeah. Well, once you're in counterbalance lock, I don't think there's a whole lot. You don't have another path.
Yeah. Well, once you're in the hard counterbalance lock,
yeah.
I'd consider this right now kind of a soft counterbalance lock. It's not all the way there.
It's not all the way cinched in, but Briksza having Jason play means he has a lot of flexibility, at least about what he can do about Anderson's main phase on his own turn.
Yeah.
Anderson can get fancy in the upkeep and all that.
Yeah, and he says stop in the draw step right away. Return Punishing Fire. Punishing Fire. Go after Jace. Try to get Jace off the battlefield. Here's a Brainstorm in response. Couple cards going to go back. Yep, okay. So that's taken care of. Here's an attack for 2. The nice thing here for Chris is that he's got so much time.
Exactly. He's at 50 right now from these Swords of Plowshares. He's got a lot of time. And if Rudy every turn, all he can really do is try to keep this tenuous lock going, Anderson's getting draw steps the whole time.
Yep. He's going to leave the card on top. And again, it's not a hard lock. It's just a pretty good soft lock.
But in the event that Jace ever dies, then it becomes a very soft lock. Because Briksza's only able to maintain this by having Jace in play and being able to put a 2 back on top.
Same pattern here from Chris, which is punishing fire in the draw step after you've drawn your 2. And what this forces Rudy to do is it forces Rudy to just keep having brainstorm. And these aren't good brainstorms.
No, these are just to keep the 2 on top of the deck.
Down to 1. Okay, try again. Brainstorm again. If I'm Chris, I'm pretty happy, I think, with how this is going.
As long as Briksza doesn't find Sensei's Divining Top, eventually this is going to work.
Yeah.
It might take a while, but in the meantime, Briksza's not really doing a whole lot with his copies of Jace and so forth.
Council's Judgment's going to take care of Exploration. That's potentially. It could also be Mox Diamond to cut mana.
I would probably go after Mox Diamond at this point. That Exploration is not worth a whole lot here. Mana seems to be the bottleneck, in my opinion, on Anderson's side.
Yeah, I like exiling that. Jace is going to brainstorm. A mountain, a terminus, a counterbalance.
Oh, and now Rudy is getting a little fancy here.
You think he's moving on?
No, he's not. He has. Oh, okay. Well, we'll hold the phone on that for a minute there. I thought that Rudy was getting to a point here where he was going to leave the 2 as the second card down in the sequence because Anderson's been stopping him in the draw step.
Sure.
So what he wants to do is just draw a card. Anderson will stop him. Rudy goes, okay, there's a 2 on top.
Yep. Yeah.
And then Anderson's got to be in this guessing game of like, has Rudy left the 2 as the top card or the second one down?
Well, now we have a different guessing game because Chris just do another Dark Depths.
And he can just try to jam again?
Well, Rudy is at 24.
Right. He can't.
So it's not just game over. In for 2. You saw Chris not pause on the upkeep.
Yep.
He let him draw what he believes is the 2-mana spell, but take a look at Rudy's hand. The 2's down.
Or maybe not. Maybe Anderson's believes that Rudy has now moved and has put the 2 as the second card.
Yep. So now it looks like Counterbalance is going to go on top. So that's there. There's a land from Rudy. So now is Chris going to go presenting? Or is he going to go punishing firing? He's going to go presenting. All right, 2020. Note, again, Chris's mana is in bad shape.
Yes. I mean, he hasn't been able to loam this whole time.
No. Draw a card. Grove of the Burn Willows. It's odd, this entire game that we've watched, he hasn't found Wasteland.
It's true.
And he actually needs Wasteland to get Crocs on the battlefield. Croc is typically not this good against lands. Oh, okay, never mind. Hold on. I think, okay, so Chris just went up. Yeah, so we're going upstairs with Punishing Fire now. He's a 4.
Well, he doesn't have. He only has 1 source of red mana that doesn't involve Rudy gaining life. So
Sure.
he can't kill him in 1 shot here. If he had 2 copies of Taiga, he could just go for it.
Yep. Counterbalance is on top. All right, Chris says draw your card. All right, shoot you or Jace. It's going to be Force of Will. Removing Jace.
And that was a really good bridge there from Anderson. If the Punishing Fire resolves, it resolves and that's good news.
Uh-huh.
If it fails to resolve, it's because the 2's on top. He has the second Punishing Fire back in his hand, so we can try to get Briksza in the draw step again.
Yep. All right. Ponder. Looks like a 2's on top now. There's a mountain for the turn.
I'm also going to throw this out there. The first person to screw up loses.
Immediately.
Immediately. Both players' grasp on the game right now is so tenuous that if there's a blown spell here from Anderson or if Briksza sets the wrong 2 cards down on the top or whatever, that's going to kill him.
Chris drew Wasteland a little late. Just found it now. All right, attack for infinite. Okay, token down. Pass. This is interesting. If what Chris thinks there's probably a 2 on top of the deck. Okay. Yep. One could say he guessed right. Now Rudy's got second. Yeah, there's the cue. He says,
yeah.
All right, I got a sack. Go down to 4.
Yep. And Rudy knows that the next card down is no good.
And this is interesting too because now Chris says in response to your sack, I'll get a Punishing Fire back. because he really wants to get Jace off the battlefield. It's so important. And Rudy hasn't found a top yet. So now he's almost got to take any chance he can to get Jace off the battlefield. Rudy says, I'll sack again. So he's going to gain some life from Groves, but then lose some life from the fetches.
And we're going to have 2 blind reveals on the way.
Yep.
Because if Jace leaves the table, Rudy has very little going on.
Confirm Rudy's life total because he's gaining life from Grove and losing life from fetches. Jace is the random flip.
And now this is funny. Now Anderson might say, all right, I'll just deal to you. I guess he wants to make sure he gets the Jace off the table.
Sure.
There's an argument there. Once Rudy has a replacement Jace, you might as well just hit for 2.
The 6 can't be correct because he's sacking fetch lands and gaining life from Grove.
I guess that Jace is going away anyway because of the second shuffle.
Yep.
So that's not going to be the draw step regardless. So step 1 there for Anderson. That's a big one.
He's done it.
Jace is removed from the table. Briksza's hand is nonsense. It's just 3 lands and another copy of Counterbalance. And he's drawing an island. He has no way to shuffle.
Rudy down to 3 from the fetches. Because he's not gaining life in those exchanges. He's sacking fetches and then Grove, so it's keeping him net neutral.
Right.
And sacking a fetch is risky business. All right, shrug, shoulder shrug, go to 2. Get an island. Rudy's card on top's a mystery now, and you see his hand, it's lands.
Yeah, just lands.
Yep, pass the turn back.
I don't know what's to be gained by sacking the fetch land straight away.
Chris gonna take a look at the bin.
I mean, if you wanna sack the land to thin out your deck, that's fine. But I wouldn't go from 3 to 2 right now.
I don't love going from 3 to 2.
Because you might not get another turn.
Here's Loam. So now Chris can change gears, or at least try to change gears.
Well, it's also information. I mean, if this resolves, you know your punching fires are in the clear.
Yep. 2 triggers. Tundra ain't it. Loam's resolving. Yep, we can just go back to this. This is a really well-played game by Chris.
Yeah, this has been great.
If you're going to play this deck, you have to know how to beat Miracles.
Yep.
You just don't have a choice. You have to know how to go through this. He's going to dredge away. Dark Depths, Crop Rotation, Mox Diamond. Going to get back. Loam should go to the grip, I believe. There we go. It can get a little bit confusing at times. Going to give Rudy a life. I also just like right now, because he's under no pressure, he's at 42. He knows the top card of his opponent's deck. He probably has an idea of what's in Rudy's hand as well. And Rudy has no fetches to just say, I'm going to resculpt.
Yep.
Get some lands again.
Yeah, there's an argument here to just kind of go for broke with the punishing fires, try to do everything in one turn. But Anderson doesn't need to do that. Rudy's hand's probably pretty soft from what's been going on. You know the top card of his deck is also nothing. So you can try to just brute force it like you've been doing the last couple turns. And if the shields are ever down, you go ahead and try to go for punishing fire.
And you have Wasteland for Caracas finally.
Yeah, he's got a lot of directions to take this game now.
You know your opponent's drawing a Tundra. That was Rudy's draw for the turn. He played an Arid Mesa to be able to give himself a new look with Counterbalance. Punishing Fire was the draw here for Chris. He'll play a Dark Depths, 10 counters there. That's land 1. He gets the opportunity at land number 2 with another Thespian stage. Pass the turn back. Nothing here for Chris. Rudy will draw Swords to Plowshares.
But the
can't quite finish him.
The problem is that Anderson's got this covered now in 2 directions.
Yep.
Not only does Rudy have to fight this fight over and over again, but in the event that the shields are ever down, Anderson can just try to burn them out with punishing fire.
Yep. He's going to fire 1 punishing fire off right now. Triggers here from Counterbalance. 1 is an Entreat the Angels.
And part of the reason to do this is just for information. If this is going to resolve, then he can go ahead and go for the kill if something weird should happen.
Grove is going to return some punishing fires. Rudy's going to gain some life off of this, of course. Chris will try to attack for lethal again after drawing a card for the turn. Exploration the draw, attack, swords, gain 20, go to 58. Though, Entreat, I'm not sure how good or bad that is right now. He can make a lot of tokens.
The problem now is the punishing fires. He basically needs to entreat and have a 2 on top.
Because a lot of these lands are groves. So he's got 2 punishing fires, then he can put them down to 3 up to 4 Down to 2, so it's going to take over the course 2 turns.
It's a slow way to do it.
Yeah, it's a way,
Yeah.
but it's definitely slow.
I mean, ideally, he would loan back some red sources of mana that weren't groves.
Yep.
To be able to just be able to cast these with regular red mana.
So he's going to fire 2 upstairs. Put you down to 3. Here's Entreat, yeah, a whole bunch.
Except I don't even think this is lethal next turn. Anderson's at 58.
I would be shocked if this is not lethal.
Anderson's still got 2 turns at the minimum.
9 times 4.
36.
Jeez, okay.
Short by actually a fair bit.
7, 8, 9. Yeah, you're right. Jeez, that's insane.
And he doesn't get to attack this turn.
Yeah, it's the next turn. Yeah, okay, so he gets 2 more turns to play.
Yeah.
So for Chris, there are 2 fetch lands out here for Rudy. Now, those fetch lands cost life, which is important to note. And he's got to give him some life back to get back the punishing fires via Grove.
Yep. I mean, Rudy really needs just running 2s on top of the deck.
Yeah, it's just got to be 2s all day. I think they're just going to make sure life totals are good and all that stuff. He also wants to know what he's working with in the graveyard and maybe how many 2s you have access to, all that stuff. Take a look at the clock. It hasn't been a quick first game. It's been a slow one. Chris is going to get back a punishing fire. He'll draw for the turn. Crop rotation. No idea how that plays into things.
I mean, even crop rotating something into a tiger right now is pretty good.
Triggers. Pyroblast. Sack go to 3. Chris says hold.
So if he punishing fires again, Rudy has to sack in response again. And then if the top card isn't a 2, that's
it's
game.
over. Yep.
Right.
Was he even have a land to find?
He's out.
That's unusual. All right, it's got to be a 2. Terminus. Punishing fire you. That's it. Chris Anderson wins game number 1 here over Rudy Briksza. Lands up a game over Miracles in a marathon affair. That was a heck of a game.
That was brute forcing it right there.
Yeah.
I mean, Anderson there was dealing not quite with the hard block, which is divining top plus counterbalance, but sort of the tier 1.5 block of Jace plus counterbalance, and was just able to power through it. I mean, that was great.
To the sideboards we go. You have to imagine these guys are going to shuffle up pretty quick, so we'll take a look at these pretty quick. 2 Flusterstorm, 2 Blood Moon, a Rest in Peace, a Relic of Progenitus, 2 Wear Tear, 2 Monastery Mentor, a Containment Priest, a Supreme Verdict, a Pithing Needle, Pyroblast, is Static Caster here for Rudy B.
I think you definitely want the 2 copies of Blood Moon, obviously. If those resolve and Anderson's not prepared, that's game over. The Rest in Peace and the Relic of Progenitus are both fine cards in attacking Loam and other graveyard-related stuff. The 2 copies of Wear Tear, there's enchantments and artifacts, the boxes plus explorations. I think those are fine to bring in here as well. And I can also see bringing in the Needle. A lot of stuff to name. You can name cards like Shot Port, Thespian Stage, plenty of stuff.
Molten Vortex, 4 Corrosion Grip, 4 Sphere Resistance, a Bajuka Bog, a Caracas, 2 Chalice of the Void, a Boil, hello, and a Boseiju Who Shelters All.
So I think the Boseiju here is a lock, as are the 4 copies of Crozan Grip. Needs to be able to answer counterbalance, Sensei's Divine Top, Blood Moons in the sideboard. I think there's an argument for the Molten Vortex coming in, as that alongside Loam is going to beat a lot of control decks, but maybe comes in, maybe it doesn't.
Well, these players are going to shuffle up here for game number 2. Rudy Briksza will be on the play. They're going to have to play pretty quick, which is what I imagine here for both of them. Very quickly, however, we're going to talk about our Season 3 Invitational Champion. He's headed to our Players' Championship, and he actually won in this very room a couple months ago. It's Alex Bistecki. It's his Germ token, and there are a couple of ways to go about getting it from our Season 3 Invitational Champion.
Any participant in our 2-day $20,000 Open Series events like the one here in New Jersey comes with this token when you register. Also, anyone who registers for a 5K Premier IQ, both the ones that we hold Sundays at our Open Series events and the ones that you can bring to your local store, every participant will receive this token as well. And if you can't make it out to one of our large events, any order from StarCityGames.com, $5 or more will come with this shipped. But the next Invitational is coming right down the pipeline in Las Vegas in a couple weeks. We're going to have a new token there, so if you want to get your hands on the Alex Bistecki Germ token, either show up to one of our large events soon or place an order from StarCityGames.com, $5 or greater today.
Chris Anderson was victorious that game. It's been a heck of a run here for him recently, as he has been top 16 like crazy. He's been traveling like a wild person as well. One invitational top 8 earlier this year. Season 1 Invitational got knocked out by Reed Duke before Reed Duke succumbed to Jacob Wilson in the finals. That's why Jacob's headed to our Players' Championship. 16 Open Series top 8s with a win. He's a 9-time Hearthstone legend, brother's the lead singer of a band, and he started playing Magic at the age of 4, which is why the collection's so nice. For Chris, 16 Open Series top 8s, he needs number 17 real bad.
Yeah, and more than that as well. It's got to be a win or a finalist, I think, for him to make to the Players' Championship, or a very deep run in Las Vegas.
Top 16 tournaments has not been very difficult for him. His average finish over the course of this year has been very, very impressive, but he needs those spikes.
Talked to Chris yesterday at the only game in town. He was at the IQ. I asked him how the Hearthstone stuff was going. He said doesn't really play that much anymore. Just focused very, very heavily on Magic right now.
He wants to qualify for the Players' Championship. It's been a heck of a run all year for him. You know, he does have a loss in the finals against Andrew Boswell. A very memorable tournament when we were in Baltimore. Boswell's first Open Series win. It looks like
Vancouver mulligan.
Yeah, okay. Top card going to go to the bottom here. We're underway here in game number 2. Still getting used to that thing, man.
Me too.
I forgot it a couple of times in the GPs I played in the past couple of weeks. Embarrassing.
It's a good rule, but it's not an intuitive rule,
No.
and so it just gets forgotten sometimes.
Mox Diamond going to discard Dark Depths. Wasteland. Destroy the Taiga. Excuse me, destroy the Tundra. Here's a Brainstorm. Pithing Needle among the cards Rudy has found. Now we might see Gamble. Yep. Though I am curious what Chris will gamble for. I think he already has Loam in his hand.
I would be interested in getting an exploration type effect.
Okay. Well, he's clearly got something on his mind because he's searching real fast.
He's going for something in particular. The safest thing to do is just get a land that has a good power. Yep. Because with Loam, you're going to get it at some point.
We'll see what he discards here in just a moment at random. Heck of a match between these two so far. Number 7 and number 12 on our Season 4 leaderboard. Both of them might be playing the Players' Championship at the end of the year. 4 cards here for Chris. There goes that one. Forced. Losing the basic is not irrelevant.
I wonder if that's actually the card that Anderson gambled for. Yep. I think that he may want to get the Forest. He already has the Mox Diamond to give him a little bit of infrastructure in the event that Blood Moon shows up.
Looks like Rudy has a question for a judge here, so gonna take a moment as Gamble is done resolving. Chris waiting patiently, currently up a game.
So assuming that Anderson has access to his graveyard here, his setup's pretty good. You could go for an exploration type effect here to speed it up some, but Loam with some stuff to do is not a bad start.
Pithing Needle. We'll see what this names. We'll get confirmation here in just a moment. Gonna name Thespian Stage. That'll lock off the Dark Depths, at least for now. Here's a Loam. Now the one thing Chris does not have yet is a Mana Bond or Exploration, so he's playing fair with Loam right now.
And it's probably not going to be happening for a while. With Loam going, I think he's heavily incentivized just to keep dredging for a while, which is powerful, but it does mean that getting the Mana Bond Exploration type effect into play is unlikely to happen.
He's taking a draw step. He picked up a copy of Crows and Grip. Beseiju, Who Shelters All, is the land. I mean, here is Brainstorm.
This is a really good setup here for Anderson. His hand's a little bit on the slow side right now, but Beseiju alongside, his Crozan Grip and his basic land, he's got Blood Moon covered. He can get out of the lock should it show up. It's a good start.
Yep.
You would like to have a little bit more explosion mana-wise and some mana denial elements, but Anderson is well situated against Briksza's potential sideboard cards, at least.
And it's also a minor thing, too, but his Loams are always going to resolve if he wants them to.
Yeah.
It's costly. 2 life is not irrelevant, but it's also a life where it's also a matchup, where we saw Chris gain 60 life.
Yeah.
So he's got some life to work with. Here's a Brainstorm from Rudy. Found a Blood Moon. Chris well covered against that, though. Couple cards going to go back on top for Rudy.
And all because Anderson took that draw step.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't have grip in hand.
He'll dredge. Grip down. Maze of Ith, Chalice of the Void. Looks like Chris has brought in a few more spells after sideboard. He'll draw for the turn. Life of the Loam's the draw step. This is Life of the Loam. Target a couple lands. That's going to resolve. For Chris, so important that he has that basic forest back.
Yep.
Just in case anything goes wrong with the Mox Diamond, Wear Tear, or something else. Really nice to have that be available. Again, he's not working in overdrive as he plays the forest because he doesn't have Exploration or Mana Bond yet, but his deck is humming.
Yeah, he's probably also not, like I said, not going to be accelerating the mana most likely.
Well, that's the first test.
And this is the risk of playing the slow game.
Yep.
It's just Jace with no mana acceleration and no utility lands in play.
It means he's got to get a move on.
Yeah.
Looks like he just drew a card there. Now he'll dredge Loam. Port, Riftstone Portal, and a fetch land. Rudy wants to take a look at Riftstone Portal. We'll do the same. Better in the graveyard than on the battlefield.
Yep.
That's for sure.
Anderson doing it the right way, Ravitz it the wrong way. First round we covered today.
As long as Riftstone Portal is in your graveyard, lands you control have add a green or white. Notable there for Boseiju because Boseiju will generally hurt you, but you can't tap it for a green or a white, much like if an Urborg was on the battlefield.
And you also have some lands in your deck like Dark Depths and Tabernacle that don't make mana on their own, so one's a nice one to have.
Chris with a lot of cards in hand at this point. Looks like he's going to cycle Tranquil Thicket. Going to dredge Loam again. Life of the Loam, Verdant Catacombs, Dark Depths. Those go to the graveyard. Loam is done resolving. Excuse me, Loam is done being dredged. So that should be there. Tranquil Thicket in hand. There you go. Tranquil Thicket in the graveyard. There we go. Hasn't played a land just yet. But the problem here for Chris is that Jace now.
Yes.
He's actually got to do something about it. And also the Needle naming Thespian Stage. Now here's a Wasteland. Does he want a Loam again?
I think he's just close to discarding a hand size anyway.
Yeah. He's just going to discard Loam, say go.
Yeah, I think he might have been better served just playing the port that turn.
Sure.
Not a huge deal, most likely, but...
Arid Mesa. Rudy going to sacrifice that. You have to imagine going to go find a red source, looking to cast a Blood Moon here. He's got all basics on the battlefield. But as we know, Blood Moon not going to be very good right now.
Yeah.
It's as good as Chris allows it to be.
Well, it means that the Crozan Grip has to go on this instead of the Needle.
Correct.
So that's a win for Rudy, even though the Blood Moon isn't lights out.
Now, I do wonder how Chris sideboard here, because we saw Chalice, we know Crozan Grips in the deck. I don't know if he has Punishing Fire left. I have to imagine he's got at least one copy, maybe two.
Yeah, when you're dredging a bunch, it's kind of free to bring in and or to keep in the deck rather. And with Jason, Dealing Click, and Snapcaster Mage on the other side of the table, you want to be able to answer some stuff. I'd be surprised if he had the full amount, but I would also be surprised if he had zero.
Mox Diamond, Exploration, Rashad, and Port go to the graveyard from the dredge. We'll see what's next here for Anderson. I'm also curious to see when Chris is going to start just taking draw steps.
Yeah.
I think that he just has some better, like, natural draws in his deck than lands at this point.
That's the problem with Loam when you don't have Exploration, is you're still just putting one land a turn. It does blunt a lot of the card advantage that Loam provides. And yeah, I agree with you, especially with Tranquil Thicket. I think Anderson can soon afford to just take a couple draws.
There goes Blood Moon. Grip took care of that. Split second, of course, so can't counter it. A Port activation, going to tap down the white. Counterbalance the draw here for Rudy. What Miracles is able to do, especially with the way how Rudy has sideboard, he's able to kind of overload the enchantment removal. Counterbalance needs to be countered. You got to get Blood Moon. Excuse me, Counterbalance needs to be destroyed. Blood Moon needs to be destroyed. In this situation, Needle needs to be destroyed.
I mean, for the time being at least, Anderson doesn't really have to concern himself with the counterbalance. Anything that he would want to play that counterbalance could tag, he can simply play through Boseiju. So it's not a huge deal, but it is, there's only so many spells he can chain together in the same turn potentially.
Dredge Loam. Stage, stage, Loam. What's he looking for? There's depths. Manual's going to be too slow.
Yeah. Jace is going to be able to go ultimate before that.
Loam. Gonna get back Port, Tranquil Thicket, another land. Cycle. It feels like to me he's got Punishing Fires in his deck if he's dredging this aggressively.
I agree.
There's Grove. Gonna use Besage. Make sure Loam resolves. Gonna get back Thickets and Punishing Fire. I do not believe Chris has played a land yet. Oh, he played Dark Depths. Never mind. Cycle. Riftstone Portal down there. There's a Punishing Fire.
There we go.
Might have to discard. Again, the only thing that he really needs here, at least in my opinion, is just exploration. I feel like he just needs to get some more lands out there.
Well, to me, he has to start taking draw steps to do that.
Yep.
And he may prefer to just use the dredges to try to find more Punishing Fires, because once he wears down the Jaces, he's got a lot of breathing space.
Monastery Mentor, I believe, the draw here for Rudy. Take a look at the top card. He's going to Fate Seal himself. Jace is up to 11.
Yeah, no value in really Fate Sealing Anderson at this point, because Anderson's going to be dredging a bunch.
Yep. There's Mentor. Chris with 7 cards in hand. Hill on tap. Take a look at the clock. Under 8 minutes here. Game number 2. Chris is able to win game number 1. This one, it still feels up for grabs.
Yep. I think that Rudy is definitely advantaged right now.
I think so too.
But by no means a lock. And it's just the lack of exploration effect. His hand's just a lot of lands. If he got them all on the battlefield, it would win.
Wow.
I don't mind this from Chris. I mean, he asked the judge how much time is left. If he keeps banging his head against the wall there, he's a huge dog to win. It's going to consume most of the time on the clock, most likely. Chris's deck can definitely win inside of 7 minutes.
Do you think there's no chance at a 101 win there?
No, I think that Jace is going to win the game probably before that, or Monastery Mentor is going to win the game before that.
Okay. Because he picked it up pretty fast there.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if he's going to go back to the drawing board or not as far as sideboard is concerned. We're under 7 minutes here now. And we will, of course, make sure that time is accurate with our table spotter there. So we want to make sure that's correct. But I understand the reason behind the concession. If he doesn't think he can kind of slog through that and get a 101 win, he can definitely win, as you mentioned, in 6 minutes.
I mean, we saw Ravitz win a game with this deck on turn 3.
So it's true. It's true. All right. Chris is going to keep. Rudy's going to keep. We're underway right away.
And it's very challenging for Rudy's deck to win inside of 6 minutes.
That's definitely true. Mox Diamond. Discard Wasteland. Thespian Stage. Chalice on 1. That locks out Top. That locks out Needle, Brainstorm, Ponder.
Swords to Plowshares.
Now locks out a couple of Chris's cards too.
Yep.
Exploration Mana Bond. Here's a counterbalance. And Chris's hand is a little goofy right now. You saw him miss a land.
Yeah.
He'll draw a card. Wasteland. It's okay.
It's mana.
Yeah.
I mean, the problem is the rest of Chris's hand is pretty bad.
It is pretty bad. Keep in mind the other card that gets locked out here for Chris is kind of an instant win card in crop rotation.
Yep.
That's out too. Here's another Chalice on 1. That locks out the Swords of Plowshares that Rudy's going to draw. Arid Mesa, second counterbalance, pass the turn back. If you're Chris, you draw Dark Depths, you probably win. Now, Rudy does have Karakas in hand, but Chris has Wasteland on the battlefield. There's Plains, pass, Punishing Fire you, check, Force of will. Sack. Aggressively. Maybe basic mountain.
This doesn't feel worth the fight to me.
No, it doesn't to me either.
The fetch lands with 2 counterbalances in play are so valuable, and I'm not really inclined to try to counter this.
What was on top of the deck?
A Force of will.
Okay, maybe he just wants a different card.
Yeah, if he's going to shuffle anyway, I suppose it's fine.
The reveal here is Tundra. Punishing Fire is going to resolve. Get it back with Grow. Quickly untap and draw. Exploration. That's going to get countered from the...
Slow down.
That gets countered from his own chalices. He almost cast it. Okay. How about a 4/4? Punishing Fire. Check. Vendilion Click. All right. See you later, Angel. That problem solved.
2 shocks kills your Sarah Angel.
It sure does. Crop rotation to the draw.
Nice.
Don't cast that one either. There's Caracas. Might be Vendilion Click right now. Gonna return Punishing Fire. Return the other Punishing Fire.
I mean, I'm happy to snag one of those Punishing Fires right now.
Taiga the draw. There's Vendilion Click. You let that resolve. Now the question is who you're targeting. I like Wastelanding. There goes Caracas. Punishing Fire. Trigger. Top. Dead. Swords down. Top goes to the grip. Top doesn't matter right now. They'll Scalding Tarn the draw.
What a mess of a game this is.
Yeah, all these games have felt like messes, honestly. This is a strange matchup. Get back Punishing Fire.
As you mentioned, it looks like Anderson's probably still on draw, Dark Depths, and win.
Yep.
Moment's notice.
Time for Chris to draw. There it is. That's the turn back. Rudy will draw. Force of will. That ain't it. And you know Chris is going for it.
Yeah, of course.
It got no time.
He went for it 7 times in game 1
Yep.
or whatever.
Here's a top. Nope. Good try.
Hey, you might as well. He's got to remember the trigger.
He's got to remember his own trigger. Absolutely. That's going to do it. Chris Anderson's going to win this match over Rudy Briksza 2-1. The Landsman here is 5-0 in New Jersey. That's a big win for Chris especially. He needs a top 8 in this tournament real bad, here or Denver, to get him into the thick of things, and he's off to a great start.
And any loss you can give to someone else that's in the thick of things is even better.
Yeah, you don't want to give. You want to get the loss to Rudy.
Yeah, yesterday, Todd Anderson lost playing for top 8 in the IQ to Rudy, and Todd was stung just as much about Rudy winning as he was about him losing because of all the points and how much that matters. So